Joe, you're shutting me down?
Okay, Steve, I guess you're the director of slides today.
You have the slide. Everybody see the slide?
Yep. Okay, like to welcome everyone to our meeting today. We have a number of things to go over, and we'll get started with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United
States of America,
and to the
to the
republic for
republic
which it stands,
which
one nation
nation,
under God, indivisible, with
with
liberty and justice for all. In view of what's happening with COVID, rates going up, and I don't think it was unexpected, but the fact that they are going up, I think we still have to keep vigilant, and let's have our moment to, it doesn't go up any worse and tapers off, and we can get through the fall and winter. Thank you. Today we're going to announce our slate of officers, and Bob Loop, I guess you'll do that when we go to the slide.
Yes, I did.
All right, go back to the other slide. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so there'll be additional nominations accepted from the floor for anybody who wants to take an office. And then the election will be made by a majority vote on November 19th. And I think we can all do it very well, very easily. And we can test it beforehand. But if you put your list of participants up, or even if you scroll down to the bottom, reactions, you can.
Joe, why don't you let me handle it, Joe?
Okay, Bob.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the committee that was formed for the 2021 nominations of officers and directors. That includes not only myself, who chaired it, but also Carl Funk, John Cullen, Joe Raccanello, Phil Schechter, and Ed Roloff. All made great contributions, and I appreciate it very much in terms of contacting these individuals and coming up with these names. Certainly, the people's names that appear on here should not be a surprise to any of those people, but I just like to go down the list and read them off. First of all, President Joe Andreotta. Joe is, as we know, have done a great job over the last year or so and filling in as president of our organization. And also he operated as first vice president of programs, so he really had two roles to fill there. So Joe, you should be able to, assuming that you'll get elected, which I think you will, it'll be maybe a little easier for you next year than it's been this year.
I hope so.
Stu Madison, we're nominating Stu as first vice president of programs, picking up for Joe, and Stu has graciously accepted, and Stu has been our recruitment director for the last, at least a year or two. I'm not sure whether it's been two or just one, Joe, but our Stu. But in any case, I know he'll carry on and do a great job for us, and he has his committee, of which I volunteered to be a part of his committee in the coming years. So that'll work out very well. Second Vice President of Activities, Larry Holzman, who has been our Second Vice President of Activities, will continue in that role. He's done a great job. And the Assistant VP for Trips and Tours, Alan Krim, who has been in that position for several years and done a wonderful job. Hopefully we'll have some trips and tours coming up in 2021. We'll look forward to to that. John Cullen will be our immediate past president. Treasurer again will be Brian McDermott. He's accepted this position again. We appreciate it. You've done a great job this year. Assistant treasurer again will be Lloyd Contract, long-term member of the board, will be in that position again. Secretary Ira Bernstein continues as secretary. Thank you, Ira, for continuing in that position. He'll be assisted this year. Assistant Secretary will be Carl Shapiro, who has come forward and graciously accepted. He's interested in being the Assistant Secretary, so we look forward to that. Membership Director will continue to be Carl Funk. Carl's done a great job, and I know he's not with us this morning. He had a conflict, but certainly his name is there and he's done a great job for us. Fellowship Director, Dave Kaplan, who has assisted in many of our operations over the last year, including not only helping with fellowship, but also audio visual director John Sedlak, who will continue in that position. And Carl has done a great job, Dave has done a great job in helping out there. So we appreciate it very much. Audio visual director will continue to be John. Communications director Steve Fisher continues in this great role that he's done for us for many years. Publicity director Dick Fisher has consented to continue in that position for the coming year, and we thank you, Dick. Recruitment director Howie Breslow, who has been on the board in the past as in several positions, and most recent prior to this was second vice president of activities. So we look forward to Howie bringing in lots of people next year, right, Howie? Is Howie not here? Anyway. Director at large will be a new member.
They're lining up for us.
Okay. Director at large joining the board next year will be Jerry Krantz, who has been very involved with the Songsters and will be very well accepted and will do a great job in that director at large. And Ed Roloff, who has been our director at large over this past year, will continue in that position, hopefully. And that's our complete list of 2021 nominations for officers and directors. As Joe mentioned, the formal vote will take place on, what did we say, Joe? November 19th, I think it was.
Yeah, I guess it's the
Which is in line with the
Tuesday before, the Thursday before Thanksgiving.
That's right, which is in line with what we normally do. So,
Yeah, let me just,
and as Joe mentioned, also nominations of the floor are open today or anytime between now and November, the November election. So does anyone have someone that they would like or themselves to nominate for one of these positions?
Hi, this is Jerry Kranz.
Hi, Jerry.
Say I'm there, but there's no T in my name. It's spelled wrong. It's K-R-A.
Jerry, we've changed your name because we don't want people to associate you with. Okay, I apologize for that.
I have family members who want to see this. Thank you.
I'll correct that. Thanks, Jerry. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Okay, well, if you come forward with someone, just give me an email or one of the names that I had mentioned before, including Joe. You can let him know if you're either interested or have someone that may be interested. But we did go down. We did go down a long list. We had more than this number of people that were interested in positions, and we appreciate all who were interested, and we did speak to each of those individuals. So I think we're okay.
Bob, thank you for all the work that you've done putting this together. I know it's never hold off on the slides for a second, Steve. Just want to mention a couple of things. One, if you do nominate someone, before you nominate them, ask them and get their permission to nominate that they will accept.
Right.
So with that, I just want to, Bob mentioned the role that I've been playing for the last 7 months or so. I had a lot of help from Bob, advising me, and Steve Fisher and Carl, as well as a lot of the other officers. So it did help ease some of the stress of that, because I've been going through some personal issues also. But I want to thank everybody that did help me with this past year, and hopefully we're going to have a better year next year. Not so much from the men's club, but just the year in general. And maybe we'll be able to get back together again before the end of the next year. All right, next.
Thank you, Joe. You've done a great job. You really have. Thank you.
Okay, today's speaker is our own Roman Lasik. For those of you who've been members for the last 4 or so years, starting with his documentaries on his trips, various trips. They've always been entertaining and informative, educational. Some beautiful photos that Lasik Roman has taken. So it should really, really be a great program, and hope everybody will stay after the business meeting and watch and listen to Roman. So we'll have that coming up today. Excellent. Okay, Larry. Oh, no, this is me. I always get mixed up. Next week, Christina Crane will be our, this was from the fallback of, it was next week, October 29th, we're going to have Dr. Michael Parry from Chief of Infectious Diseases at Stamford Hospital, obviously going to talk about COVID and what's, the latest information, where we stand, so what we can do. And, we're hearing the political end of the medical expertise. Let's, finally, we'll get the medical end of the medical expertise, and no one better than Dr. Parry. And then on November 5th, Christina Crane from the Stamford Senior Center, who's this, I think, is her 3rd or 4th time giving us a rundown on the latest on the Medicare supplement, Advantage, drug plans. She's done these do change annually, and some subtle changes affect us. Then on November 12th, Mark Laurenti, who's a former Assistant Special Agent in Charge, New York Office of the Department of Homeland Security. We'll talk about what Homeland Security investigative branch and the Homeland Security itself department. Our good friend Mark Albertson, who, whenever we call him, and he's always happy to present to us. When I spoke to him, he was enthusiastic, and his latest is the trial of the century, and then we, figured that was the 20th century, and it's Nuremberg. So that again should be historically interesting. Then on November 26th, we're not going to have a meeting on Thanksgiving. Although with what they're saying, we all might be home for Thanksgiving anyway, we might as well have one. No meeting on Thanksgiving. Ira.
Good morning. Last week we had an online attendance of 50. I assume everybody's received the minutes by email that were sent out for last week's meeting. And if there are no corrections or additions, I'm going to ask our President Joe to cast one vote of approval for the entire group. Joe, you're on.
Yes. I'm just trying the voting, so yes, I cast one vote. Okay, Larry. Is Larry with us today?
Yeah, he's here somewhere.
Okay, slide, please. Steve, is there a slide?
Yeah.
Sir.
The slide is up.
It's still on secretary. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
Okay, the discussion groups at 9:20. Next week, October 29th, Joe D comes back to talk about investments. On November 5th, Art Feldman will talk about the election results, and I guess results should have a a question mark on it because the results might not be known by that Thursday, but hopefully they will be. And certainly whatever the trend there will be should be apparent at that date. November 12th, Bob Butke comes back to talk about technology. And on the 19th, Joe D comes back to talk about current events. And I'm sure there will be some interesting current events at that time. Next slide. Next slide.
So,
It's up.
Okay, the walk in the park is scheduled for every Wednesday. And weather permitting, and it is almost always at Cove Island. And hopefully people will participate. You get the fresh air, you get beautiful scenery, you get to get some person-to-person conversation in human contact, and you get a little bit of exercise. So I encourage people to do it whenever the weather is good. It starts at 10 o'clock. Usually Carl is the leader. And I've done it the previous 2 weeks, and it's a great thing to do. So didn't do it yesterday, but it's certainly worthwhile.
well, yesterday, let's see if I can bring it up. There were 2 of us participating, and
Do you have a picture?
I'm trying to bring a picture up. If
No,
I
you
can.
can't. You can't share multiple.
Okay, then don't worry about it. But it's going to be shown next week. Carl is going to put it in next week. We had Franco and myself. And
Okay.
it was a little misty, but it was good walking temperature and no rain. And I mean, even the mist was not it was foggy, but we had a very pleasant walk around the park, and I encourage everybody to come out. It's safe. I mean, you're outdoors, you're distancing, and we even, aside from the 6-foot distancing, which we try to maintain, we are masked, and it's very safe. Plus, it's good exercise. we took our time. I think we did the full mile in about a half hour or so. We didn't rush it, and pleasant conversation. So I encourage everybody to come out, set your pace. There's always somebody that's going to be walking as fast or as slow as you, and we have to, you know, for our own mental health, get out and do stuff like this rather than stay pent up.
Yeah, the human interaction is a very important thing to keep us sane. So I do encourage it for even for just that portion of the activity. Next slide. I don't think there's any activities other than this planned. Apparently, what we've seen in the news is the situation is getting a little bit worse in terms of because of the weather and people being forced to be indoors instead of outdoors. So we can't schedule anything until we see improvements in the situation or possible vaccines being available to most of us. So that's it for me. Turn it over to the membership director, which is the next slide.
Okay. Carl has had a prior commitment, so he's not with us today at our meeting. But the status is hasn't changed since the last few weeks. But I encourage everyone to try and bring in their friends. It's a painless way. Pass on the, all you have to do is email them the invitation, and they can log in and join us for a meeting and see how we are. And remember, if they join now, there's no dues requirement for the end of through the end of the year. And next year's dues are going to be $30. And that's only because, you know, we did not have the major expenses that we normally have during the year, and we don't anticipate any of those expenses, such as meeting expenses, et cetera, for the next 6 months. So we probably go at least to the summer without incurring so major expenses. So we decided to reduce the dues. We're not a money making, we're a not for profit. Are there any guests that are with us today? If there are, unmute yourself and introduce yourself. Okay, I guess we don't have any guests with us. Again, try to encourage your friends, relatives. I mean, even if they're not local, I mean, and they just want to see what you do every Thursday, have them jump on. Okay, next slide, Steve. Our fellowship director, Phil, he's been handling this for the last couple of years. He's been doing a yeoman job. Anything to report, Phil?
I have nothing. Perhaps our membership, someone might have something to report.
Good
Anybody
news.
have anything to report? We look for good news, especially.
Yeah,
Okay.
Bill Monk.
Yes, I'm back. I don't know if anybody I don't know if anybody missed me, but for the last couple of months, I've had some medical problems, which hopefully I'm at the end of, and I'm on the way up again. So I'm back.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
Anyone else? Okay, I guess not. Let's go to the next slide. Dick Harper.
Okay, we are finally coming up to the day when we're going to talk about this interesting book by Stephen Ambrose on the undaunted courage, the Lewis and Clark expedition. There's a lot of detail in it, but they were quite brave in what they did, and they had some setbacks which they overcame. One of which was that Lewis got shot in the buttocks for a while. It's near the end of the book. And he had to lie on his stomach for a few weeks. And then we will meet on Wednesday, as it says in the slide, and try to decide on which books we will schedule following this October meeting. So I look forward to this discussion.
Dick, is there an up-to-date number for the ID number for getting into the Zoom?
I sent it out to everybody yesterday.
Oh, okay. I didn't see it.
It should be on your email.
Okay.
Let me know if it isn't, Ira.
This is Bob Rosenthal. I got the note about the book meeting, and there was an attachment, and the link was in the attachment. It wasn't in the note itself. At least that's how it appeared on an IBM PC.
Yeah.
Or PC.
Thanks, Bob.
Talking about books, I ordered The Last Days of Shoeless Joe, The Last At-Bat of Shoeless Joe, Granville Burgess's book from Amazon came, so I'm going to get into that, reading it. But if anyone was interested and enjoyed Granville's presentation a couple of weeks ago, that book is available from Amazon.
There's no end of good books.
Well, it's supporting somebody that gave his time to us.
Good.
I'm sure if he was in person, he'd have books for sale. So, next slide, please. Okay. I guess Jack Halpern is not online, so I'll talk about each year. We've been collecting cash or checks and then making a donation to the food bank of Lower Fairfield County. This year, no reason why we shouldn't continue that tradition with a little bit of modification. Rather than bringing your check to our meeting and having Jack or Morty collect them and bring them to the food bank, we're asking that you send your donation directly to the Lower Food Bank, the Food Bank of Lower Fairfield County, 461 Glenbrook Road in Stamford. Or you can do it online. I checked that out. And if you go to the food bank, lfc.org, there's a place to make a donation. And then they ask in memory of or in honor of, just indicate in honor of SMAS, so that we'll get the credit. And when you send the check in, a note that you're a member of the SMAS, so that show that we're still, supporting that organization. And I guess, Steve, if we can try and send out an email on this, even if we send the email out once a week, just repeat it for the next few weeks through to Thanksgiving.
Okay.
It's a worthy enough cause. They were affiliated at one point with the Food Bank of Connecticut, but they got cut off because the Food Bank of Connecticut were imposing some restrictions on our food bank, but these are the people that support the people in our area, and I go accordingly. And if you gave $10 last year, or whatever you gave, add another couple of dollars for the gas you saved driving to the meeting, and add it to their check. I thank you.
It's a great organization. My wife and I have been active with them for several years, and they prefer money versus goods, because for every dollar that you contribute, they can get about $7 worth of food. So it really works out well. And there's a strong
A
need.
lot of us may have actually received direct mail solicitations. I did, and I sent in a check, and I did do the mention on the check that the Senior Men's Association of Stamford was the soliciting party. So
I would keep the
but
slide
everybody,
up.
many of us should have gotten direct mail solicitations with a return envelope.
Yeah, once you've given, that'll happen. But I would keep this slide going through the end of the year at this point.
Oh, yeah,
There's a strong need. Yeah.
No, keep the slide going, but the slide's up, and if you don't have a pen or pencil to write down, this way you get an email directly that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it both ways. It doesn't cost us anything to. All right, thanks. Okay, I guess this was a leftover from our discussion last week about mail in or drop off your ballot. And I think that on the ballot itself, it'll give you this information that you can check a couple of days at this website to see that your ballot has been received. Yeah, that's.
And it does work. I checked.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment or two. If you go out the first time, when you go out and you fill in the information, when you first get out to the screen, you'll only see like half the information that's out here, down to about the blue lines. Then when you fill it out and they have your vote, then you'll get the whole screen, but you do have to kind of look for that line that I highlighted on there. But if you get a whole screen, then you know your vote has been counted. Now, if you don't get a whole screen and your name is something like mine with a space in it, McDermott, or if you're a Joe D with an apostrophe in your name, try typing it in more than one way, because it depends on how the register entered it. Try like MC D right away, MC space D, and Joe D will probably have to play around with his name a little bit too. Don't give up right away. Try entering it a number of times before you.
I will point out that it can be confusing because it mostly shows that you are registered, and you have to actually, when you get the when you hit the submit button, you actually have to look down. There's one line that actually shows that your ballot has been received.
It's that highlighted line. You really got to dig for it.
Okay.
Yeah, really.
Bill Monk?
It's about where the yellow that Brian has done is.
Okay, Bill Monko.
Yeah, that's after the submit.
Yes, we've been having a hell of a time trying to get our absentee ballot in. We called downtown and we asked for one, and they were gonna send us one, but instead they sent us a different form to apply to get one sent. So I don't know if anyone else is having this problem, but 06907 zip code where I am, for some reason, we didn't get anything. So we're in the process of trying to get one, but we still haven't received it.
The state sent out.
Yeah, the applications.
It's
Yeah,
application,
we
everybody.
haven't gotten it. We haven't
They
gotten
get it November 4th.
Does anyone know whether it shows whether your ballot's been counted or not?
I don't think they're allowed to be opened until several days before Election Day. I'm not sure when they're allowed to be opened.
Okay.
Okay,
Or at
I
least
just,
has it been verified? In other words, they've opened it, checked your signature, and then it's okay. Do that? You know if they do that?
Don't know about that point. The only thing that this site shows is that your ballot has been received. I do not know if they've opened the outer envelope yet. You can check with the town clerk. You can just give him a call.
we did that, and all we got was another form to fill out so we could get the ballot. So I don't know why we're having so much trouble. We've been at this address for like 50 something years, and for some reason, zip on the, we haven't just received anything as far as the ballot.
Well, it's not something that we can handle, Bill. I mean, you got to go through.
No, I was just curious if anyone else had the same problem, or was it just our area?
Now, I just sent my request in because we got the application from the state, as Steve said, and I just sent my request in last week after we had the discussion. Because I don't mind going in. I don't mind going in person, but I don't think waiting online for an hour or so is going to help us, especially if the weather is bad. So I decided to do it.
Okay, well, we sent our request in yesterday also, but I was just curious.
In
Very
any
good.
event,
Thank you.
okay, next is Stu Madison. You have something? Unmute yourself, Stu.
I actually placed responded the ballot in the box in the municipal building on Monday, but it's still telling me I'm just registered. So how many days did you guys wait before, from the time you deposit it until the time it came up on the website? Is it a week or?
I waited about a week.
Okay, so I should still keep waiting. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Stu. Lloyd.
Zip code 06905. I not only got my ballot a week ago, of course I mailed it in already. So we don't seem to have a problem. At least I didn't at this zip code. So apparently it's something with 06 0907 seems to be a problem. It's rather unusual, you would think.
I dropped mine in the Dropbox at the Harry Bennett Library on Saturday, and apparently it was received on Tuesday.
Okay. Any more comments on that? Okay, next slide, please.
I have a comment on the absentee ballot. I checked the Secretary of State's website, and they can't be opened until Election Day.
That's what I thought. Thank you, Dick.
I have a comment on the absentee ballot also. In the primary, the last primary, I cast my ballot at the school. And then as I was voting, the lady came up and said, "We show that you voted with an absentee ballot." And I said, "I have not voted with an absentee ballot." And she said, "Well, we'll straighten it out." She says, "Go ahead and vote, and they'll straighten it out with the registrar." So when I got home, I called the mayor's office, and they referred me to the registrar of voters. And I didn't get to her right away, but she did call me back. And she said that if you go to the polling place, if you voted absentee, which I did not, and she couldn't explain how that got in there, that if you vote in person, that it will nullify, they will compare it to the absentee ballots, and they will nullify the absentee ballot. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But anyhow, somebody put an absentee ballot in my place that I did not vote.
Joe?
Somebody's got.
Joe?
Yeah.
Howie Brazel.
Okay.
First of all, I raised my hand on the machine about.
Yeah, I saw. I was going to call on you, and then your hand disappeared.
Well, I don't know why it disappeared. But we filled out the ballot. And after 10 days, we went on the screen when it came. Steve was, who's talking?
Somebody's got a radio or TV on.
Okay, well, we
think
went
it was
on the
Jerry.
line, and after about 10, 12 days, our ballot didn't show us even received. So I placed a phone call to somebody I knew who could get me that information. And within overnight, I found out, yes, my ballot had been received about 5, 6 days ago, but they're very delayed in posting it online. So just to let the people know, you got to give them time.
Thank you. Thanks, Howie.
The local newspaper explained it all a couple of days ago. Basically, they have one cutoff at 5 p.m. the day before election day.
Okay.
So if your absentee ballot is received by 5 p.m. on the day before the election day, then when the polls open up, the people at the polling place will know that you've already cast an absentee ballot. Now, if your absentee ballot arrives after 5 p.m. on Monday, they just hold on to it. And
Guys, I want to remind you, I'm sorry, Bill, but I want to remind you, this is a meeting. It's not an open discussion. So please raise your hand. Dick Fisher. Unmute yourself, Dick.
I have something other than the voting to mention. And that's the fact that I have shingles. And I have had it, my first attack was last September. I'm telling you to encourage people to get a shingle shot if you haven't done it. I had my first attack in September. I took the antibiotics for 7 days as they prescribed. I had my first shingle shot then. I had a shingle shot 5 years ago, but that's the old shot, and it doesn't last more than a couple of years. The new shot lasts longer. As I said, it came back this week in a different location. I'm back on the medicine, and the shots are 2 months apart. So the second shot I won't get until November. If you haven't gotten a shingle shot, CVS does it at virtually no cost, and they send you a reminder for the second shot. Please get it. I don't have the pain. I have more of an itch and a tingle, but if you get the pain, you don't want it.
Thank you, Dick. I got mine, and I got my second one. I got my first one before the COVID, and I had to wait until they opened up, but I got my second, and my wife now was cleared to get hers. So worst case, depending upon what insurance you have coverage, it might cost you, if you use Good RX, $150 per shot. So it could cost you $300, but it's $300 well spent. Believe me, if you ever have to have, if you ever gotten the shingles, the pain is excruciating and debilitating. So
Medicare covers it.
No, it doesn't.
Pay for mine. That's weird.
Medicare does not pay for it. If you got supplemental insurance that covers it, it would, but Medicare does not pay for it. Okay, and again, guys, please raise your hand. Don't just jump in. This is the meeting time. Okay, next slide. Jokes. I think I just got one groaner. And why did the art thief's van run out of gas as he drove away from the museum? It was because he had no Monet to buy the gas to make the van go. That's a, yeah, I know. As I said, it's a groaner. Okay. Let's go right in now. It's time for our
Alan
presentation.
Alan Sostowitz has something.
Oh, Alan?
Yeah, I do. First of all, information. Next week for Dr. Perry, my girlfriend Donna definitely wants to chime in. And just to remind everybody that the whole community is invited, their wives and girlfriends. And if they find it interesting, as Donna does with Dr. Perry, have them sign up. Secondly, my joke. This actually happened. I like to tell things that personally happened to me. In Vietnam, one of the fellows gets a picture of his best friend with his best friend's girlfriend, and then his girlfriend sitting next to her. And this is back in the day when bikinis were really hot stuff, back in the middle 60s. And there's his girlfriend in a red hot bikini, and a note from his buddy saying, you know, we're taking good care of your girlfriend. She's here with us. Nothing to worry about. And then one of my buddies looks at the picture and he says, yeah, you have something to worry about. Who took the picture?
Okay, let's go to our presentation now. Roman. Are you with us, Roman?